You could. This is Radio Rahim reporting from Medgar College, and we have one of the pioneers, Congressman in our community, in our midst right now, and he's going to speak to the YouTube, Facebook audience right now, right here, about what the facts are for parents, to help parents. Good evening, Congressman Owens.
I'm quite happy right now because we're at the end of a meeting which I haven't seen in a long time. Large numbers of people in the community turned out to talk about education. And it's President Obama's plan called Race to the Top that should interest all of us because large amounts of money are going to be invested in our communities to improve our schools. In New York City, $250 million for each school district. That's a lot of money. Now they're saying that they're going to ask the people running the districts right now to tell them how to spend the money. I think that's outrageous. I think many more of us should be brought into the discussion of how to spend that money and succeed where we have been failing. Title I, schools that receive Title I, districts that receive Title I, will be those districts that will receive the $250 million. There's a part of Title I which requires that 1% of all the funds be used for parent involvement. That's the Owens amendment that I introduced years ago. 1% of all Title I funds is supposed to be used for parent involvement. There was a question here about parents being involved, and it was not properly answered by the commissioner.
Would you give us a little bit of time and expand on that a little bit?
Well, 1% is 1%. 1% of $250 million, you can figure that out for yourself.
Good.
That's a lot of money. You know, it ought to be spent on parent involvement. And, you know, it's in the law, you know, but they ignore it, and we ought to...
Who ignores it?
The principals, the education administrators, the state board of regents. Just heard an answer from the commissioner, which said parents are not involved in expenditure of that money. You know, according to the rules, they can't spend it for parents, he said.
So a parent uneducated about this law?
Most parents do not know about the Owens Amendment to Title I, which says 1% of Title I funds should be spent for parent involvement. They do not know.
So they know it now.
Well, I hope they know.
They're listening to this YouTube show.
What is the value of parental involvement in their children's education?
Well, they can decide, you know, where they want to do it. They want to spend it on more school trips, more books for life. They can make a decision about how their money is going to be spent. You know, more counseling for kids who are about to go to college. The parents can make the decision. That's what it's all about. And they're not allowed to make those decisions generally. And they have the right to do it. It's in the law.
And what law is that, Congressman?
That's it.
Can you give me the number?
Elementary Secondary Education Law, which I don't know the number of now.
Okay, I think it's 8910.
Yeah,
but we'll follow up on that.
Elementary Secondary Education.
Repeat that again.
Yeah.
The name of the law.
Elementary Secondary Education Assistance Law, at the federal level. Title I funds are required. It's required that 1% be spent on parent involvement.
You've been very gracious to our YouTube and Facebook audience to share this information, and we appreciate your work. Thank you so much for your time, Congressman.
My pleasure.
Okay, well, can I ask you a question? What do you feel about the value of an educator being the top administrator of a school district? For instance,
I think it's absolutely necessary. It's an insult to the education profession that they make a choice of a business person to run the school system. It's an insult to the whole education profession. It's a great insult, you know, and we ought to all be very angry about it. But according to the law, he has to get a waiver from the board. You know, he's remuffed the question, but they have to give him a waiver. The mayor will have to get a waiver from the Board of Regents, from the Commissioner of Education, in order to hire this person. He got a waiver for crime. You know, he had to get a waiver. He had to get a waiver even to be the president of the Board of Education. Mayor Wagner's son, remember years ago, he had to get a waiver because he didn't have 12 courses. He had to have 12 courses in education. You know,
in order to be chancellor.
In order to meet the requirement. Yeah, but you got to get a waiver if you don't have it. So they're going to give the waiver because they give Bloomberg whatever he wants. But it's an insult to educators. Now to say you need somebody with a business background who can run a big system, get an educator, he can always hire somebody with a business background as number two. I mean, the man in charge ought to know education. You know, management, administration, that science applies everywhere. You know, so
do you have any remorse about Chancellor Klein resigning today?
None at all. He's done a very bad job. He's a good example of a non-educator in the wrong spot, a challenging position, and they end up lying about statistics and doing a whole lot of other things.
Okay, one more question. One more question. It seems as though that people value PR, public relations, more than they value education. So Klein is going to News Corp, which is Rupert Murdoch. Sooner or later, he's going to be on Fox or have his own Fox show. And the new Chancellor is coming from a media outlet. So are they telling us that PR and spin is more important than education? And how can we, as the public and parents, counteract the onslaught of media messages that might not be honest?
They're telling us that they will do the same old thing over again. We don't get up and fight it.
We don't get up and fight. You hear that, your audience? We got to fight.
Dance, all types of dances.
Eating the same old stuff. This presentation had too much of the same old stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.